The Raiders are back in LA to take on the Rams. Can Aiden O'Connell find his groove? Hall of Famer Kurt Warner chimes in. And with Davante Adams now a Jet, what does it mean for the Raiders? NFL Media's Bucky Brooks talks draft value. Plus, he's been a beast on D. Raiders linebacker Divine Deablo breaks down his secret to success. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show, everyone. I'm Theoharis. Raider fans, you won't have to travel far for Sunday's game against the Rams. It's no secret Raider Nation runs LA. And it's no secret the Raiders need the energy only this fan base can bring on the road. The past week has not been easy. The departure of a former All-Pro like Davante Adams is a move for the future. And the entrance of Tom Brady as a minority owner gives everyone hope that that future will be bright. But this season is still here, and it is still young. And with 11 games left, Antonio Pierce and the men on the field will have to find a way to win. And if there's a man who knows the power of keeping the faith in his Hall of Fame quarterback, Kurt Warner, you can catch him every Sunday morning on NFL Network as an analyst for NFL Game Day. Kurt, it is so good to see you, old friend.
Yes, it's very good to see you and talk to you as well.
Yeah, do a little football talk like the old days. Well, Kurt, there's been so much discussion around the Raiders this week. What is your take just in general on where this team and this franchise is?
Well, I mean, obviously they've got a ways to go. And I think so much of it is trying to figure out their identity. I think when Coach Pierce came in, they realized what they wanted to be and what their identity wanted to look like. But it just hasn't played out perfectly. We've seen moments of that, obviously, with their defense at times playing really, really well and bringing that aggressive style, which is very much like Coach when he played. But I still feel like they don't really have a true identity on offense. And we all know in this day and age, in that division, you've got to have an identity on offense. And it all starts with your quarterback and what you want to be. And right now, I think they're trying to figure out what that is going to look like. Do they have the guy in the building? Do they need to go out and get a guy? And then with that, keeping people and keeping top players like Davante Adams. We know that he was just traded to the Jets. And a big part of that was because there isn't stability at the quarterback spot. But in this day and age, if you don't have one of those guys, it is hard to win consistently, and it's definitely hard to compete for a championship. And so that, to me, is the first piece they have to fix, because once you have that piece, then you can be enticing to a lot of people to want to come there or want to stay there when their contracts come up.
Nobody knows that more than the New England Patriots, because they had a guy named Tom Brady, who is now the minority owner of the Raiders. He's a fellow quarterback that's going to join you in the Hall of Fame one day. This is unprecedented territory, a GOAT going to owner. What are your thoughts on what Brady will bring to the Raiders?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, knowing that he's going to continue to do TV, I think that's the kind of the biggest thing for me is, I felt like him, maybe Peyton Manning, were guys that wanted to get into the ownership box and wanted to, to be able to be there. But I would expect it to be more on a daily basis. Tom, and the way that he does things is, putting his imprint on something daily, on how to do things and how to build an organization and how to have a culture and what that looks like, and be able to help the quarterbacks that are there. So it's going to be very interesting for me to know that he's going to be traveling, doing games, but still be an owner and wanting to have, I believe, that kind of input and that kind of imprint on an organization. So I'm fascinated to see how this all plays out. But, we all know, what Tom did on the football field. And when you hear him talk, the way that he did things, the way he went about doing things, and the professionalism by which he prepared each and every week and each and every season. And I think that's, going to be the beautiful thing that he's going to bring to the Raiders organization is kind of having that figurehead there to be able to lean on. And to me, I'm bringing him in as much as I can if I'm coach, and saying, okay, Tom, tell me how you did things. Talk to our quarterbacks, talk to our team, help us to build the culture that you guys built in New England that was about winning. And it was about everybody buying in to do their part to having success. And so I'm excited to see him as part of an ownership group I'm just interested to see how that balance will play out with him continuing to call games.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the quarterbacks. You mentioned the ones that are in the building. Coach Pierce made the switch to Aiden O'Connell last week. What do you see or have you seen in the young quarterback this far?
I think you see moments with Aiden where it looks really good. Starting back in his preseason as a rookie, I thought he looked really good and really comfortable. The biggest thing that I see with Aiden now is I believe he's playing the game too fast. And so it's causing him to have to throw the ball harder than he wants to. It's causing him to get off of his technique at times. And so the big thing for any young quarterback is the ability to slow the game down, to have a plan, to know exactly what you're going to do when a defense shifts and changes and whatever they do after the snap. And so that to me is kind of the next step for Aiden because, he's got some ability and he's got the ability to make, big throws. But it's that consistency of putting everything together, decision-making, accuracy, technique, slowing the game down, having poise in the pocket is where, to me, he needs to grow.
Looking forward to this matchup with your old Rams. I know they were in a different city at that time, but they are 1-4 coming off the bye. It has been a disappointing season this far for them. They have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They've struggled to get pressure on the quarterback. Where can the Raiders offense maybe start to take advantage of that on Sunday?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you want to make sure, especially having a young quarterback and losing Devontae Adams, to me, it's you want to establish the run game. You want to win the line of scrimmage because as crazy as this league is and as much as teams throw it now compared to, decades ago, the best teams in the league are still the ones that win the line of scrimmage. And so that to me is where this team, because they're not extremely dynamic on the outside or at the quarterback position, that's where you have to win. That's where you have to dominate. I think that's what coach wants to be. He wants to be a team that is physical and wins the battle up front. Max Crosby and company on the defensive side can do that, and he can take over games that way. But they need to do a better job, for me, offensively of winning the line of scrimmage and running the football so the pass game can be a complementary piece. And so that to me is where it starts, not just this week against the Rams, but really where it has to start, I believe, for this football team.
I know you love a good matchup, Kurt. Both of these teams have phenomenal rookies. I'm excited to watch them. What are you expecting to see with Brock Bowers and Jared Verse when they square off?
I mean, it's fun to watch Brock continue to get, more and more involved in the offense. And I don't think it was a surprise to anybody when he gets opportunities, what he's capable of doing. The stuff that we saw in college is translating to the NFL. And so I expect him to continually be a main cog in what they're doing offensively and finding ways to get him targets because, he's so good after the catch too. He's got the ability to make the big play. And then you talked about a Verse on the other side. The biggest thing is, they're trying to replace Aaron Donald. They're trying to replace one of the greatest players in the history of our game and a guy that could create quick pressure, not just pressure, but quick pressure and change the complexion of games. And that's what they need from Verse and company up front is they need to fill that void of Aaron Donald by figuring out a way to win quickly, get those tackles for loss, get those pressures on the quarterback, because all of that stuff helps the back end of a defense as you're talking about this defense struggling so far in the season.
Matthew Stafford, a great quarterback, but he's been spending a lot of time on his back. Offensive line hasn't been great in front of him. Could this be an opportunity for the Raiders pass rush this weekend?
I mean, I definitely think so. That they've had some issues there. You mentioned the injuries on the back or on the skill positions for the Rams. So they've got a lot of new parts there. One thing Matthew Stafford's always been great at is anticipating and getting back and knowing where his guys were going to be and letting the ball go. And he had built that continuity with obviously Cooper Kupp. We've seen that. And then Puka. And so, with different pieces and parts in there, he's going to find himself holding the football a little bit more. And he's taking more hits because of it. So, yes, I do think this is a great opportunity for that Raiders defensive line to get after Matthew Stafford and maybe create some turnovers.
You mentioned Cooper Kupp. Not sure if he's going to play or not. He's listed as questionable right now. How does his presence impact the Rams offense when he is on the field?
Well, he's a difference maker because of what they do with him. And, he can do a lot of things on the football field. But when you watch them play, they will run, 12 to 15 choice routes with Cooper Kupp every single game. And him and Matthew Stafford just understand each other so well that it becomes an easy, quick completion almost every single time when they do this. And there's not anybody on that roster that they have that has quite the same rapport with Matthew Stafford as Cooper Kupp does. And so not only are they good and do they get completions, but it's a quick throw. It is a quick opportunity in their offense. So us talking about, the lack of continuity on the outside or holding the football, when Cooper Kupp is out there, they allow Matthew Stafford to be able to anticipate, get the ball out of his hands, get quick completions, and move the chains. And so that's where, to me, he is such a difference maker. May not have the top end big play ability that we saw a few years ago, but he's still really, really good at those underneath routes. And that takes a lot of pressure off that deep passing game or forcing Matthew Stafford to hold the football a little bit longer.
I'm not sleeping on Cooper Kupp for all the reasons that you said, but maybe it's because the Raiders' pass defense is performing a lot better than their run defense right now. I feel like Kyren Williams scares me a little bit more. What does he bring to the table? How does he match up?
And they've always been a team that wants to run first. Coach McVay loves to establish the run and then wants to play action off of that. And that's where they get their big plays. They become a little more spread when Matthew Stafford got there than they were with Jared Goff, but they still want to be a downhill between the tackles run team. And when they've had success this year, that is where it started, is Kyren Williams and them running and having and establishing that run game. And so, that's going to be a battle. That is going to be something that I think Sean McVay, especially with, the pieces on the outside being out, or as you said, maybe coming back, but haven't been there for a while. They want to establish that. And all that does is help slow down a pass rush and allow you to get the big plays down the field off of the play action game. And so I definitely think that's going to be a matchup that the Raiders are going to have to win to force the Rams back into throw first mode, because if they can stay, balanced offensively, they become a lot better football team.
All right, two teams that need a win, two teams that have underperformed and both have a lot of talent. Give me a bold prediction, just something you think we might see happen in this game.
Bold prediction. Well, that's a good one. Let's just stay on the Raiders side, and let's say that the Raiders get a double-digit win here against the Rams, that they keep them reeling a little bit, and the Raiders come out of this with a big win.
See, you just got the black hole behind you. You know who you're talking to. Raider Nation loves Kurt Warner all of a sudden. Hey, Kurt, thanks so much for being here with us. We really appreciate your time. It's good to see you.
You got it. Good to talk to you.
Coming up, NFL Media's Bucky Brooks tells us why the Davante Adams trade was the right move at the right time for the Raiders.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I'm on the fleeting seconds flight. I pray to the coming wind. And time like snow never stood around for me. I love every sky
Oh, set me free. Chains and holding me. No time to sleep. The daylight's coming fast and it's counting on me.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly. And by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Raiders.com is your home for all things silver and black. Stay up to date as NFL analyst Bucky Brooks recaps the previous game and Bucky's breakdown. And later in the week provides his insights on the upcoming opponent and his scouting report article series. There are a lot of questions surrounding the Raiders over the past few weeks, and to help bring us a little clarity, we welcome in NFL Media's Bucky Brooks. And Bucky, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not much. I know you always bring clarity to situations. That's why we want to have you on. And I've kind of got to be the voice of Raider Nation here. Was the Davante Adams trade good for the Raiders? And if the answer is yes, tell us how it could be.
Well, it's good for the Raiders because here's what you're doing if you're Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. You're trying to create a culture in that locker room. You're trying to create a culture within the team where you have people that really want to be there, people that are willing to do everything that they can for the team. And it appeared as we got over the course of the season, Davante Adams increasingly was more checked out than checked in when it came to the team. And some of that, I would say, like in watching the Netflix show, like it didn't appear that he was all the way in last year as well. And when you are a young coach and you're trying to get the team going in one direction, you want to make sure that you got the right guys on the bus. And right now, I would say that it didn't appear that Davante Adams was the right guy for what this team needed at this point. And even though he's an all-pro caliber player, sometimes there's an addition by subtraction. So you remove him from the locker room, and what you hope is someone grows and steps up and makes a move to be the number one option. I would say that number one option is probably going to be Brock Bowers based on the way that he's played the last couple of weeks, his pedigree as a top pick. And what you're hoping is that you kind of change on the fly. You build the offense around Brock Bowers being the guy that sets the table in the passing game, and then others will emerge as your number 2 and 3 receivers respectively.
Yeah, Brock Bowers has really proven to be a matchup nightmare for linebackers, for safeties, anybody that tries to come after him. Tom Telesco, though, has drafted some real talent in the second and third rounds in his career, and that's what this Davante Adams pick, it's a third right now. It could become a second. He's taken guys like Keenan Allen, Asante Samuel Jr., Denzel Perryman in the second and third rounds. How do you see Telesco using those, let's say, early to mid-round picks in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of season to be played, but obviously you want to look at the wide receiver position and see if you can get someone that can be an impact player. Here's what I would tell you about the college landscape when it comes to wide receivers. We're seeing guys that are coming in the first, second, and third round and make immediate contributions. I mean, look, we saw last year, Puka Nacua, Offensive Rookie of the Year, was a 5th-round pick. Finding wide receivers is not as difficult as it used to be because there's so many guys that are playing the position early. Talk about 7-on-7 high school and how it's changed the game. That shouldn't be a problem. You may not find a true one-for-one replacement for Davante Adams, but you certainly can find a playmaker that can come in and make a splash. Outside of the wide receiver position, let's be honest, when you're building a team, your first, second, and third round picks are guys that should be eventual starters in some way, shape, or form or fashion. Tom Telesco understands that. He's done a really good job of identifying and finding those players. And I would anticipate him continuing to find a way to do it with the Raiders. It's one of those things where the fan base has to be patient, but understand this is part of a long-range plan to build a team that not only contends in a couple years, but contends consistently. And the only way you can do that is you got to build it the right way.
Well, if that's the plan, this is good news. According to Spot Track, the Raiders now will have about $108 million of projected cap space next year. That's 4th most in the NFL, plus 10 draft picks for 2025. That's pretty good, right, Bucky?
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to draft and develop, but also supplement what you do from a drafting standpoint with free agents. And so it's being able to look at your team and say, okay, let's look at the draft and let's look at the holes that we have. the draft is strong in this area, but weak in another area. So we may use free agency to fill this hole as opposed to using the draft to fill a current hole. It's all about a puzzle and putting the pieces of the puzzle together the right way. The Raiders now have the draft capital and the cash to be able to get it done a few different ways.
All right, let's look. There's still games to be played this year, so let's look at this weekend's matchup with the Rams. LA has the worst run defense in the NFL. The Raiders, through all of this, have maintained that they want to be a run-first team, but they haven't had much success with it. In your opinion, what isn't working, and how can they get it going this weekend against a very porous defense?
Well, early in the year, a lot of times it can take the running game a little while to get uncranked, get it cranked up, because when you think about training camp, you think about the lack of padded practices and all those things. The offensive line is the last unit to really be able to gel, particularly on the ground. When you look at this team, the team has not been able to move people off the ball the way that they anticipated. Some of that is the offensive line. Some of that is Zamir White not being able to consistently hit the holes and all the things, Alexander Madison. Whatever it is, they haven't been able to get on the same page and make it happen. That said, it takes a commitment, and it takes the offensive coordinator being willing to continue to run the football, even though you're not having a lot of success early, because eventually the culmination of the body blows will lead to big runs late. I think for the Raiders, it's about making sure that you can continue to stay on schedule when the run game's not going, by being efficient in the passing game, but not turning the ball over. Too often the Raiders have turned the ball over early in games, and it prevents them from staying with a patient and persistent run game and a ball control game plan.
Yeah, you said it before I even got to it. When you have costly penalties, when you have 3 turnovers in a game and 0 takeaways in that same game, you're just not going to win. How does this team get back to being disciplined again? And I can say that because weeks 1 through 4, they were the second fewest penalized team in the NFL. So they were very disciplined. How does the team get back to that?
You got to continue to talk about it. You got to continue to work on it in practices. Maybe the referees are out at practice making sure that they're calling all the infractions, so players know that some of the things that you're trying to get away with in practice are going to show up in games. And so it's the constant reminder. Look, man, you get what you emphasize. And if you want to reduce the penalties, if you want to be a disciplined team, then you got to take I would say sometimes radical measures to make sure that it happens. But you're right, the penalties are a huge issue. And the penalties that you don't like are the pre-snap penalties: false starts, illegal formations, illegal participation, things that you can control. You want to eliminate those. Some of the aggressive penalties that happen in between the whistles, those things happen. But you got to eliminate the pre-snap penalties, because those are mental errors and those are things that are controllable.
You were a defensive back. The Raiders right now are last in takeaways. How do they start getting their hands on the ball? Is it a technique thing? Is it a scheme thing? How do you make it happen?
It's a little bit of everything. And, I know EA, Eric Allen, is always there beside you. And EA knows, like, a lot of it is you got to stop the run on early downs and force people into long yardage, obvious passing downs. When you get people in long yardage situations, that allows Max Crosby to widen out and go into hunt mode. They're able to get after the quarterback. And a lot of times your interceptions come on tips and overthrows. But it's because of the pressure in the pocket. The pocket's collapsing. The quarterback is worried, trying to get rid of it. The ball comes out errantly, and then the DBs are able to pick it off on a tip or an overthrow. You got to be able to get to that. So it's all things working together. Run defense forcing long yardage situations, pass rush creating chaos in the pocket, and then finally it's the DBs catching the balls that they have opportunities to catch.
All right, I'm hearing a simple message here. Offense, stay on schedule. Defense, keep the other teams off schedule. Pretty easy, right? Sounds easy. It's not that easy once you get out there. Finish the sentence, Bucky. The Raiders will beat the Rams if blank.
They play a clean football game. They don't turn it over. They adhere to the things that we talked about. No turnovers, no pre-snap penalties, minimal blown assignments, and then they just finish the game in the fourth quarter like you have to do in the NFL. You have to be able to run the football in the fourth quarter. If the Raiders are able to do it, get to the fourth quarter, run the football to win it, they'll walk out with a victory against the Rams.
Bucky, you're awesome. We know you're a busy man. Love seeing your stuff at Raiders.com, also NFL Media. Thanks so much for being here with us. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Still to come, he is setting the tone for the Raiders defense as of late. Linebacker Divine Deablo sits down with us next on the Silver and Black Show.
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I mark the fleeting seconds flight, I pray to the coming wind. And time like snow never stood around for me. I love every sky
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Oh, set me free. Chains ain't holding me. No time to sleep. The daylight's coming fast and it's counting on me.
Divine Deablo ran the trick play all the way, and he dropped the Steelers quarterback at the 41-yard line for a loss of 13. What a play!
Hanging out with Raiders linebacker Divine Deablo. It's good to sit down with you.
You too. Glad to be here.
I always say when we get to hang out, it's because you're balling. So
Hey, I'll take it.
it has been fun. It really seems like you're coming into your own here in your fourth season with the Raiders. You're coming off an injury, and then you go have a big day against the Steelers. What would you say has led to this growth that we're seeing?
A lot of work, honestly. Coming in, being a safety, moving the linebacker, it was hard. Still haven't figured it out, It's just getting better every day. Stacking days is my plan, and just improving 1%.
What was the biggest transition going from safety to linebacker?
I think everything happens a lot faster. The linemen are on you very quick. The passing game is behind you now instead of in front of you. So it was a crazy transition. I'm starting to get a feel for it, though. So
Who's helped you the most with it?
it's hard to say one person.
Or
I
do you
do
lean on
lean
the coaches?
I lean on everybody, honestly. Anybody that can help me, I ask everybody questions. I think to start it off, Antonio Pierce. Coach Pierce, he did a great job helping me. He used to be the linebackers coach, now he's the head coach. So he has a lot more on his plate, but Robert Spillane does a good job of helping me out, as well as Mike Caldwell, our current linebackers coach. They do a good job of talking to me, explaining the linebacker terms the way I will understand it, so I appreciate that.
It is nice to have your head coach who played the position at a Super
Also
Bowl
true.
caliber level as well. You almost had your first career pick, but it got called back because of the roughing the passer call. What is the secret to becoming a player who can get his hands on the ball?
Like patience and staying square. That's one thing AP would always try to tell me. Linebackers, you just gotta pat your feet and look at the quarterback. The quarterback eyes will take you where you want to go, and that's what I did. And the ball's in my hand, so hopefully we can do that again.
Hopefully we'll see it one more time. This time, no penalties. This team, though, has struggled to take the ball away. Takeaways haven't been happening as much as you guys would like them to be. Is forcing turnovers a point of emphasis at practice for this defense right now?
I feel like it's always a point of emphasis, but to be able to force turnovers, I feel like we got to stop the run first. We haven't done a great job of doing that, and as soon as we do that, the turnovers will come.
How do you practice that at practice, though? How exactly do you do that?
I just say leverage, focus on your leverage, and then whenever you're coming to the ball, practice on your punch outs. And when the ball's in the air, you just got to get it. Don't let the scout offense catch the ball. It belongs to the defense, and that's how we should practice.
And it's a mentality, too.
It's a mentality thing, for sure.
3 years now in Patrick Graham's system. How has the continuity at defensive coordinator, amongst all the changes that has happened around you guys, how has that helped you kind of stabilize and grow?
Being on one defense helps a lot. You get comfortable. You know the defense like the back of your hand, so you can focus on making plays instead of just knowing your job. You can, like if I got cover two, I know I can play with the quarterback a little bit because I'm not really worried about an over route since that safety's back there deep. It's just small details. I feel like you play faster once you know the defense.
You play faster?
Faster.
And fast defenses force turnovers.
Exactly.
There you go. Raiders have a top 12 defense right now. I don't know if you knew that. Top 12.
I did not know that.
Despite losing some of your best players to injury.
Yeah,
without,
it's been tough. It's been tough.
Yeah, you've lost some of your best players. What do you guys pride yourself on, and what are some areas that you need to clean up a little bit?
Like you said, a lot of our players have been going down. So next man up, we pride ourselves on. We trust everybody on the field, everybody that comes onto the field. And as far as keeping it up, just practice. The way we practice, we run to the ball. We're still getting better, obviously. We got a lot to work on. Tackling is another thing. We miss way too many tackles. Like I said earlier, just getting 1% better every day, and I think that should be the focus for the team.
The tackling has been something that you guys have really focused on, hasn't it?
Yes.
Is that just a discipline thing or a technique thing, or what is that?
I'd say a little bit of both. Discipline, because of leverage. If somebody overruns the ball, obviously you're going to miss that tackle. But technique, just got to focus on. We call it Python tackles, just squeezing the blood out of the legs.
I like that.
We got to get the legs.
Get the legs, right?
Yeah,
Don't go high, go low.
Don't go
you got to teach the kids out there, Divine.
Sure.
Tell them what's going on here.
For sure.
We already talked about, Antonio Pierce being a defensive-minded head coach. How would you describe his coaching style, especially when it comes to instilling a defensive mentality that can win a championship?
Honestly, physicality. I think he wants to see the offense and defense hit somebody. I feel like if we play bully ball and keep doing it every down, eventually the other team will give out. Recently, we haven't done a good job of that. We come out fast, but we haven't finished strong, and we need to work on finishing.
Everyone focuses on Max Crosby with this defense. There's no doubt he's the leader, he's the emotional leader, but you brought up Robert Spillane. I feel like he's a little bit of an unsung hero. He quietly leads the NFL in tackles right now. #1 tackler in the NFL. Describe his impact on this defense and on you.
For Spill, like you said, just underdog. That's what I call him. Underrated for sure. He's a true middle linebacker, green dot. He leads his defense when Max is not out at practice. He's the one getting everybody hyped for practice, and we appreciate Spill. Spill is like a brother to me, honestly. I go over his house, we just hang out, talking about plays or whatever, but he's done a lot for me. Gave me a lot of confidence in my game, and I appreciate him.
He loves football.
He loves football.
When you talk to him, he will talk to you about football in very specific plays, very X's and O's, technical. He's really a student of this game, isn't he?
Student of the game, for sure. He's always in the meeting rooms. He asks if we want to meet extra, so Spill is definitely on it.
Yeah, it's nice to see him get a little bit of praise. People don't see that tackle stat. You got the Rams this weekend, coming up this weekend. What are you seeing on film that they do well that you guys need to stop?
Recently, they've been running the ball well. So, like I said earlier, we haven't been able to stop it. That's been a focus this week, so hopefully we do a better job. And obviously, they have a great guy quarterback. He has access to the whole field, so we got to be wary of him as well.
This time we're not going to have a penalty, right? And you're going to get the interception?
Oh, yeah, no penalty this time. I'm going to take it back to the crib, too.
Oh, you added that one in.
Yeah,
okay, let's do that one. I like it. Thinking big and thinking positive. Divine, it's been really fun to watch you this year. I know you've only played in the 3 games, but you balled out when you're out there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Coming up, he was supposed to be the 2 in the Raiders' 1-2 punch, but that hasn't been the case. We take a closer look at the evolution of Alexander Mattison next on the Silver and Black Show. The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders, Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL. And by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Time now for one last thing. Alexander Mattison has emerged as a playmaker. He's been the Raiders' most productive player on offense behind only Brock Bowers. The veteran is quietly second on the team in yards from scrimmage and has earned his role as a focal point in this Raiders offense.
Tutu has earned everything he's gotten since he's been here, right? He's kind of done it the right way. He's come in, he's worked hard. He's not expected anything. He's earned everything, and I think all the reps and his play style and his efficiency and what we're trying to get done, right? He knows what to do, how to do it, the way to do it. He's taking care of the football, all that stuff. So I think he's earned all those opportunities for sure.
Yeah, it just seems like whenever Madison gets the ball, good things happen. Last week against the Steelers, he touched the ball 6 times and an opening drive that ended with a 3-yard touchdown. After that, though, he kind of disappeared. Only 2 more carries in the first half. That was actually when the game was still in reach. Then only 6 total carries in the second half. That can't happen, and Coach Pierce agrees.
Alex has been really a bright spot for us running the ball. If you just go back to week 1, I think all our touchdowns mostly are from him at the running back position. He's done a hell of a job catching the ball at the backfield, protection. Obviously, he's a big factor and a big piece of our offense. And we got to just obviously do a better job just keeping him in the flow of the game.
It's an interesting turn of events for the Raiders, who let Josh Jacobs walk for Zamir White last season. But White's been injured, and Madison is just simply more comfortable in his own run scheme. Plus, Madison is versatile. With Adams traded, Jacoby Myers hurt, and Michael Mayer unavailable, having a back that can catch passes out of the backfield, that's a good thing. Take a look at this. His 9.6 yards per reception is top 8 amongst running backs in the NFL right now. That's almost a first down per catch. So this Sunday in LA, if the Raiders are going to come home with a win, they need to find creative ways to get Madison the ball early and often. That'll do it for us. It's Raiders-Rams this Sunday, 1:05 kickoff from SoFi Stadium in LA. Show up, show out, Raiders fans. We know you will. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Some days are long.